Good morning. Can I first ask members to appoint a chairman for the meeting, please?
Could I nominate Councillor Maitland?
Right, thank you very much indeed, members. Good morning and welcome to this local review body. Could I please ask the clerk to take us through procedures?
For SEDERUNT apologies, I can confirm there's 5 members present today. Chair, no apologies.
Right, I think now it is up to me to ask you to, yes, to ask members if they've got any declarations of interest in this particular review body. Councillor?
Yeah, thank you, Chair. It was one of the objectors on the application. I've had correspondence with this person, not to do with the planning, but it was more to do with pensions or ethical pensions, but nothing to do with this planning. But I just thought I'd put it on record. I did seek guidance, governance on this, and it was okay to sit in for this.
Thank you, Councillor Campbell. Right. Kind enough, please, now, I'll ask the clerk to take the review body through the documents and the papers for the meeting.
Okay, thank you, Chair. I can confirm there's one notice of review for consideration at this meeting, being item 4, ALFRISTON 12 Lovers Walk, Dumfries, refusal of planning permission for installation of composite front door with fanlight replacement of timber door, retrospective 190601 full. And we've got the standard papers in your documents, being the notice of review and related documents, the report and handling and related correspondence, the observation of the appointed officer and applicant's agents, notice of review, planning application form, decision notice, and the relevant extracts from the local development plan and photos of the application site. The grounds of refusal are the proposal, detailing and design of the door, including frame and fan light situated on a prominent semi-detached dwelling house, are unsympathetic and fail to preserve or enhance the character and appearance of the Dumfries conservation area. As such, the application is contrary to Dumfries and Galloway Council local development plan policies H8, alterations and extensions to housing in the HE2 conservation areas and associated supplementary guidance. Requested method of determination is that it be on the basis of a review of the information provided without any further procedure. The grounds stated in the notice of review are in summary. Lovers Walk is located within the conservation area, which also encompasses within the immediate area Catherine Street, Ray Street and Edinburgh Road, all Victorian era. Within 4 streets in the conservation area there are more than 9 properties in which the original wood panel doors have been replaced and where these replacements remain in situ. A precedent has already been set allowing replacement doors within both the conservation area and Lovers Walk itself. The replacement door at 12 Lovers Walk was chosen with care to ensure that the design was as close to the original in appearance as possible. This is not a modern design which is out of keeping with the character of the street. The design mimics the original, being 4 panels with a fanlight and ironmongery and similar to the previous door. The composite makeup of the door gives the appearance of wood grain. The scale of the door itself is slightly different, the replacement door being smaller and the fanlight larger than the originals. The original wooden door was warped with gaps between door and frame, creating drafts which lowered the temperature in the rest of the house, already challenging to heat. The composite replacement door is undeniably more energy efficient and therefore a more sustainable and environmentally friendly option. You have the relevant development plan policies in your papers, and the main issues for the local review body that you may wish to consider are: does this retrospective development fail to accord with the terms of the development plan, specifically to the door and fanlight that have been installed represent a form of development that is sympathetic to the character and appearance of the conservation area? Do they preserve and enhance the appearance of the conservation area? Is the development considered to be contrary to the terms of local development plan policy H8 and associated supplementary guidance? is the development considered to be contrary in terms of local development plan policy HE2 and associated supplementary guidance. If members consider that the retrospective development is contrary to the terms of the development, are there any material considerations of sufficient weight to justify granting planning permission as an exception to the terms of the development plan, and if so, what are they? How much weight does the LRB wish to give to the matters raised in the applicant's supporting statement with regard to resident security and energy efficiency? And how much weight does the LRB wish to give to matters raised by third-party representatives both for and against the development? So, having outlined the documents within the papers, now falls to the LRB to decide whether it has sufficient information to consider the review, and it is confirmed that no representations from any party will be heard today. The options available to the local review body today are that it can decide it has sufficient information before it to enable it to determine the review, either accept or reject consideration of additional information submitted in support of the review but not in front of the appointed officer when the case was determined, request further information in the form of written representations. The LRB would have to state precisely what information it was seeking and who would provide it, and resolve to hold a hearing, again specifying who would be invited to speak and on what matters, and resolve to hold a site visit, accompanied or unaccompanied. This can be done in conjunction with any of the above, but would obviously not allow a decision to be made today. And if the local review body resolves it has sufficient information and that no further procedure is required, then the local review body has full powers to uphold, reverse or vary a determination. The decision notice will include a statement of the terms in which the planning authority has decided the case reviewed. You have a planning advisor present at your meeting. He is here to assist for this item. It is confirmed he has not had any involvement in this case, was not the case officer or the appointed officer for this application. He is here purely to provide independent advice as needed on matters of planning policy, law or process to the local review body. So, and just to provide a bit of additional clarification, the papers do include redacted information in support of the application on pages 19 and 20, which is repeated on pages 69 and 70, and this is being provided to all members of the local review body. If members need to discuss any of the specifics of the information, the advice would be given to exclude the public in terms of paragraph 3 of section 50A, schedule 7A of the Local Government Scotland Act 1973 to allow those discussions to take place fully. So if members are clear and no further clarification is required, we'll ask the Chairman now to lead the debate and in the first instance lead the local review body through the agendas papers together to decide if you have sufficient information to make a determination today.
Thank you very much. I think you probably need a drink after that, don't you? Members, we now need to look at the index of contents, and I would ask members in each section whether they've got any comments or questions to make, because we've got to decide if we've got enough information in front of us to make a decision. Councillor Martin.
Is there any photos we could be shown before the start?
I'm so sorry, I couldn't hear what you said.
Is there any photos of that we could see before the start?
By all means, we'd like to see those first.
Thank you, Chair. These are just the two photos that you have at the end of your papers, which show it in the context of the street. The property concerned here, number 12, is the one on here. That's the door on the left-hand side. And then a zoomed-in photo just of the same again. Probably the thing to draw to members' attention is that highlighted in the report and handling is the difference in the depth of the fanlight there and the difference in the build-out compared to the original door, which you see at number 10 next door.
Right. Any questions on the photographs? Councillor McKee.
I just that the door on the right. I would look at it that I would think that the surrounds of that door are of UPVC. Is that correct or not?
On the right-hand side, no, they're original timber.
Yeah. I think the problem...
The windows are UPVC, I think. But the door surround itself, I'm fairly satisfied, having had a wander around there yesterday, that that is original timber.
I think part of the problem we've got is that it's only in the last few years that the rules have been altered, and they've got to get permission to change doors and windows. Hence, you've got the mixture of UPVC and all that sort of thing. And people feel quite annoyed that they want to change their door because it's needed, but they can't, not to the type they want, but they've got to get permission to do it.
Thank you, Councillor McKee. Any more questions? Councillor Campbell.
Thank you, Chair. Just the door on the right, that's the original Victorian wooden door, is that correct?
As far as I'm aware, that is the original. Certainly, if you walk along that particular stretch of Lovers Walk, as far as I could see, all the doors were original, all had the same proportions and were panelled in the same manner. So the one exception on that particular stretch of Lovers Walk is the one at number 12.
Just a follow-up question, if that's okay, Chair. Are there composite doors that are exactly the same dimensions as the original wooden doors, do you know of?
Not to my knowledge, Chair.
Right, members, if I can bring you back to questions or comments on the notice of review and related documents on page 13 to 20. Anybody got anything there? My question, if nobody has got a question, is about the issue of precedent. Suggestion has been made that there is precedent. Is that something that that is normally taken into account with respect to planning, physical planning?
Chair, each planning application has to be considered on its own merits and in respect of the relevant planning policies and law that's in place at the time. If I can perhaps clarify the comment that Councillor McKee was making just before, there was a change in legislation which did take place, this is nationally. The Scottish Government introduced a change to the permitted development rights in a 2011 Act, which came into force, a slight correction to what's stated in the report, actually came in on the 6th of February 2012. So anything since then which is in a conservation area has required a grant of planning permission. Prior to that time, even in a conservation area, there were permitted development rights and works could take place without a grant for planning permission. That changed, so automatically after the 6th of February 2012, any alterations within a conservation area to a dwelling house automatically required a grant of planning permission.
Councillor Campbell.
Yeah, thanks, Chair. That was one of my questions. Would this be a good time to talk about the supporting statement, which is on page 19, or can we discuss that later on?
Very happy to take this if this is what you want to discuss. Yes, it could also come up in the notice of review, but I'm perfectly happy to discuss that. It's quite clear if members feel that they need information and to discuss the information which has been provided, then as advised by the clerk, we are at liberty to exclude the public on the basis of, can you read out the reason why we can exclude the public, please?
Okay, as stated earlier, it would be paragraph 3, which is information relating to any particular applicant or recipient or former recipients of any service provided by the authority.
In which case I have to say that if we wish to discuss this, we will have to exclude the public. Is this what members wish to do? Councillor Campbell.
Yeah, thanks, Chair. If we exclude the public for this part of the discussion? Is that them excluded for the rest of this meeting?
I understand what you're asking. Can I have advice from the clerk, please?
It is possible to exclude for part of an item, so you could obviously bring the public back in once you were.
Okay. In which case then, it sounds to me as if we should take that decision later on, once we've discussed the matter. But thank you for that advice. It is possible to readmit the public after we've discussed the issue. Right, I think we have to take a resolution to exclude the public. Oh, we agreed to that? Right, thank you very much. Thank you, members, for your consideration. We've now dealt with the supporting evidence, exempt information, and I would go back, please, to asking you whether you have any comments or questions with respect to the observations of the appointed officer as the applicant's agents, 43 to 50. Councillor Martin.
Were they done before or after 2011?
Councillor Martin, could you possibly repeat your question, because the microphone was off, yes.
It's just as quick what I asked before, like we've got a list there, 9 properties that have got similar. How many of them, or were all of them done before 2011? Do we know any information on that?
I'm afraid I have no information on that at all.
Right. If there are no other questions there, we now have got the application form, the associated plans and supporting information, 51 to 70. Anybody got any questions, thoughts on that? No. The decision notice, pages 71 to 78. No. And finally, all the relevant extracts from the local development plan, which I hope you've got no questions on because you've agreed them before. Thank you very much. Councillor Martin.
It's
Councillor Campbell. Sorry.
Yeah, thanks, Chair. It's mere an observation. I mean, it's great that we have all these local development plans, but every time we come to an LRP, we seem to have this almost the same information. Is there any chance that elected members can have our own little booklet that David usually brings to planning so that we can bring it with us when we're on these?
It is a fair comment, actually, and as part of our climate emergency, I would have thought it is prudent not to have to print anything that we don't have to, and all these documents are available online. I'll certainly take that back to the administration side of things and see if there is scope to do that.
Right. Members, we are now at the point of asking you whether you have got sufficient information here, and it's all clear, to take a decision today. Thank you, members. Right, on that basis then, I think we can look at the grounds, the things we need to think about, the main issues, and you will see that we're being asked about 4 bullet points here. Do we think that development accords with the plan? And in particular, is the door and fan light that has been installed sympathetic? Does it preserve and enhance the appearance of the conservation area? Is it contrary to the terms of the Local Development Plan Policy H8? Have members got any views?
Chair, I think it's contrary to development plan. It's an unfortunate situation that we've been put in with change to regulations and whatnot. but it's an area where it's a conservation area, and we need to try and look after it as much as we possibly can, albeit things have happened out with our control. But we're now in a position where we can talk to these things and make decisions based on it. So I'd recommend that we refuse the application.
Well, thank you, Councillor McKee. I'll just go through the other points if there's anything else that anybody wants to mention. Councillor Martin.
As I say, I think when you see the two photos, when you see the far away one, it doesn't look quite as bad. But when you see the door-to-door close up, it does look really dang with when you see the glass and the sizes, like it certainly doesn't. It doesn't marry in with the one next door. The two of them are completely different. So I think I would go with Councillor McKee.
Thank you, Councillor Martin. We have been asked questions about, there have been, the grounds for appeal ask about security and other reasons. What, with respect to precedent, which we've discussed already, and energy efficiency, what level of weight do you want to place on that? Councillor Campbell?
Yeah, thanks, Chair. I mean, I've got a great deal of sympathy for people who, need to replace their doors. But unfortunately, the policy is that, especially from a historic point of view, that the best means of safeguarding the character is that in all cases a repair on the like-for-like basis is preferable to a replacement. And even wooden doors, they do have a high, degree of insulation, etc. So there's no reason why people in these sort of areas, need to go down the UPVC route. That's maybe the point of trying to make here.
Thank you very much indeed, Councillor Campbell. Councillor Lever.
Yeah, I think with regard to the applicant, they have made the best possible attempt to match the existing door, but I mean, it's just not a door which you're going to get off the peg. I think had a purpose-built door been replaced, that would have satisfied all the needs. And I think it's just something which you need to recognise that you're going to have a specialist joinery work done in order to replace these as it should be. And I mean, plainly, as it says on page 45, Robert Duncan's statement that it isn't contravention of the existing policies.
Thank you, Councillor Lever. Yes, I feel sympathy with what you're saying, what all members are saying, and particularly with respect to the detailing and the proportions there. They are very clearly not compatible, I think, with the conservation area quality that we're trying to maintain in Dumfries. Councillor Martin.
Just on the energy efficiency, the glass panel, the sky thing of it is that double glazed or is it just single glass? Energy efficiency wise, like?
I'm not absolutely sure that the papers make that clear. However, members, I think we are drawing this to a conclusion. Councillor McKee has proposed that we go with the recommendation of the officer. Is there anybody against that proposal? No. Thank you very much indeed, members. Have you got that? If you could read out what we have actually agreed, please.
Okay, thank you. I can confirm that the local review body have agreed to uphold the decision of the appointed officer and refuse the planning permission for the same reasons as stated in the paper.
I would like to add, having carefully considered the exempt information.
Okay.
Thank you.
Could I ask what next steps for David? Obviously the owner would have to remove it and replace it.
Well, if I could say at this point, I have no other business with respect to this local review body, and I'm sure that David will talk to you.